improvement project program coordinator here for Tempe Parks and Recreation. And we decided to do our virtual meeting live in the park this morning so that you can get a sense of how things could be changing here for our playground improvements. We're focused this morning on the playground and the park amenities that will be improved as part of the overall Clark Park concept plan. So this morning, we are focused around the playground. We have two proposed designs that are available to choose from, one of which is a little bit more traditional play structure and some clubhouse elements, potentially lots of spinning. One of the main things we got back from our initial outreach around what people wanted to do in the playground was to swing and spin and balance, and so all of those are incorporated into the design. And then there are a couple options to choose from as well. So you can have the choice of either a little clubhouse or a cozy dome. We also have choices for the spinners and the slides, for the climbers and the balancers. And all of these are up in the survey. You can make your choices for what you would ideally want to see and bring it to your children or the neighborhood for what they would want to see. Option 2 is a little bit more modern. This playground design has a lot of web elements and climbing elements. And then again, some choices on the alternative equipment. So we have, again, spinners to choose from, spinners that attach to the playground itself, some options for group play, kind of a seesaw rocking option or a spinner, and then some clustered group spinners as well. So in the survey, you're going to be asked which overall design you prefer, and then which individual elements you'd want to see in that design. The other thing we have, and maybe Sean, we could pan over to the Ramada. The flat roof Ramada that is currently south of the existing playground will actually be incorporated within the new site for the playground. And we're going to be removing and replacing it. So you have the choice to have either shade sail fabric over your new Ramada or a metal hip roof design. And based on what you choose for that, then your playground will be shade sails or a hip roof shade cloth Ramada. So that is the other question that we're asking this morning, is what kind of style you prefer for those picnic area Ramada elements. The other things that will be changing in the park, will be replacing the restroom with a new updated one. We'll have more pathways, accessible sidewalks, trees, new lighting. And the playground itself is a nature theme. So that was another thing that we heard from residents in our last round of outreach, is that we want the playground to reflect the amazing community garden that's here at Clark Park and the nature scape in general. So both of those options will be tailored around a nature and garden theme. And I can't see who's on this morning, but if Shauna, if anybody has questions or wants to provide some input via the meeting, just let me know.
So everyone that's joined us this morning, you can either put a question in the chat and we can have Aaron respond, or you're welcome to unmute yourselves as well. If you raise your hand, then we can call you in order. So either way. Annie has a question. Annie, she can hear you. So if you unmute yourself, then ask the question, she can reply.
I'd like to know more about the rec center. I saw in the plan on the website that was going to be included again. Are they tearing down the old one and putting a new one in, or is the one that's there going to remain?
No, they will be removing and replacing the rec center, and it's actually going to land a little bit closer to the pool. So I think in the survey, Shauna, we did show the overall, or maybe in the presentation, you could show the overall layout in the concept plan as it stands now, but there will be a new recreational facility and aquatic facility as well, where the existing one is currently. So, or where, yeah, where the could also answer questions. If you go over there.
I'll be happy to teach you the answer.
Okay. Any other questions or concerns?
No, we can't see it.
Hold on, we're going to try to find the question in this chat.
Hey, Eileen, I'm so sorry. Can you type your question again in the chat? It was there and I saw you had one and then it went away.
Oh, yeah, sure thing. Well, actually, I was just wondering, are you guys?
Are native desert plants being considered in the landscape?
Okay,
Yeah.
I just got the question. So native or garden theme, you wanted to know if it was a desert nature theme?
With the nature theme, are you going to focus on a desert nature theme or more of a traditional nature theme? That's one question there.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think currently, based on the availability of playground materials that meet our inclusivity index, we have looked into Sonoran Desert nature themed playgrounds in the past, and it's hard to find equipment that lines up. In color, we could look at that, and then some of the play elements. I think overall it was more of a garden nature theme was where we were heading, a little bit more vibrant, colorful, to reflect the community garden. Great question. Dave, are we considering native desert plants for our landscaping? I know with the trees, Clark Park is a flood irrigated park, so it does receive a fair amount of water. So with our trees, we tend towards things like ashes and elms. I don't know with our landscaping plants. We'll be working with our urban forester to finalize the trees, and then overall, the desert plantings are hard to be successful in a flood irrigated, but we can look at that for any areas that are raised out of that irrigation.
That's great. Yes, I hear what you're saying about equipment available being more traditional. Sounds great with regard to fellow.
Thank you. And thank you all for putting up with us in this format this morning. This is a brand new format we're trying out, so I appreciate your patience. Any other questions or concerns?
We just had a couple new people join us. So for those who just joined us, we're here in Clark Park and going over what's proposed specific to the playground and Ramada elements. The survey I'll repeat in the chat for those who joined us after I put it in there. But if you have any questions about what's proposed, now's the time to ask. And you can unmute yourself or put it in the chat.
I don't know. I was going to show them maybe where the playground's landing.
So Erin, we do have another question. Does one of the playground options have more shade? So between option 1 or 2?
Oh, that's a great question. Both of them would have the same amount of shade proposed. You could actually choose whether you'd want that shade structure, the overall shade structure for the playground, to land over the main play structure or over the swing set. That's an option in the survey as well. And either one would have the same shade element. So what we're proposing, and we can look, for example, at this option 1, you are, no matter what, going to have a shade structure over either the swings or the main play that is as big as we can get it in the space provided. And then we have some additional shade elements, these flower structures that will be, they won't be a single color. They will probably have a mix of colors in them, but those will also provide some shade over the smaller standalone elements. And in either design, those are the shade options presented. There's also a fair amount of trees are already here. We can kind of look at the overall playground will land roughly in this area. And we will try to conserve as many of the existing trees as humanly possible, and also be adding additional trees as well for shade. Any other questions? And if you want to see the presentation, for those of us or who have just joined, Shauna can also move through those presentation boards a little bit. If you're here in the park this morning and tuning in via your phone, we do have the board up for display right by the horseshoe pit, facing the existing playground element, so you can kind of see how things will be moving and changing.
So Erin, there's a question about what will happen to the old playground equipment.
That's a great question too. So we try to salvage and reuse, repurpose as much as we can of the playground equipment that we can use in other parks. If I don't think at this time we're anticipating keeping any of the existing playground in the new design, but we will be able to salvage what's here and reuse it throughout the park system. And then the contractor otherwise is responsible for recycling the remaining elements. We do have a couple of pieces of equipment out here that are in really good shape, so they would most likely be repurposed and reused. Great and thoughtful questions this morning. Is there a shade structure question? No. Okay. Okay.
We're getting some
So
up close pictures for you.
Okay. John's zooming in on those shade structures.
We do have a question, and I don't know if Sean wants to answer, or Erin, you're welcome to, but there's a question about a new aquatic center replacing the garden and asking if the garden will be located.
Okay. Yeah, Sean, do you want to take this one? You're going to use my.
So this is Sean with Parks and Recreation, and I'm working on the aquatic side and the rec.
Hey, Sean, it's hard to hear you. Do you want to? Sorry.
Oh, really? It's not working so well. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So the garden will be relocated. It's actually going to be most likely, the plan's conceptual at this point, but things have pretty much landed where we expect them to land. And the garden will be up here in the northeast corner of the park. Then the rec center and the pool will be generally in a very similar location to where it was before. And then the playground is shifting south a bit around this existing Ramada. Does that answer the question?
So thank you, city staff, for finding the opportunity to give input. Please share the link with your neighbors. We want as much feedback as possible. Thank you. Thank you, Tempe Parks and Rec folks. These look lovely. Appreciate the presentation. All the information on the aquatic center is available, and she put the link.
Thank you. Yes, so ParkWeb, the project site is on tempe.gov/park updates under Clark Park. And all of the presentations and input that's been collected thus far is all organized in those document tabs. The survey is also available there. So definitely tell your friends and neighbors, especially anybody who lives really close to Clark Park. The survey will be open through May 9th. And I really appreciate all of you.
Yeah, Erin, I put the link to all of the previous stuff for the Clark Park. I put the direct link in the chat for everyone. So asking question about when construction's anticipated to begin.
We're looking, so our next fiscal year, so our fiscal years run July to the end of June, we'll be moving into the design. And then the following year, we should be funded for construction, but we would anticipate fall of 2023. Is that what we're saying, Sean?
Right now we're fall of 22.
Fall of 20, 22.
That's when we would start.
We would expect to see the first construction impacts. The park in general, our playground improvements tend to run about a 12-week schedule. And then overall, the pool obviously is going to have a longer schedule of construction. There's a lot of demolition and then rebuild to do on the buildings and the pool. So that will take a bit longer, significantly longer. Thank you, everyone who tuned in. Any other questions?
Okay, question about costs associated with using the pool, or is that too far out to know how much it would cost to use it?
We anticipate it being in line with our other communities.
We anticipate any fees to be in line with what we currently ask at our other pools at Kiwanis and Escalante. I think it's in McClintock as well.
Wonderful presentation. Looks like a beautiful day in the park.
It is a beautiful day in the park. Thank you. Yeah, and you can all come out and we'll keep these boards up for the next couple of days if you want to get a sense of the space for yourself. Otherwise, all the information is found online in the survey as well. Thank you all.